Today I'm going to show you how to crochet your very own Dumbo rat plushie. This is my own design, my own pattern, and he is super cute. He's a great market make. He works up really fast. These usually take me somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes to make, depending on how fast I am. This is a fairly beginner-friendly pattern. The only stitches that you need to know are a single crochet, half double crochet, bobble stitch, and slip stitch. You need to be comfortable working in the round with Amigurumi, but other than that, it's just a normal crochet pattern. This is also 100% no-sew, so these ears and this tail are 100% crocheted in, so that makes them great for kids. They're very durable. If you embroider the eyes, they would be great for babies as well. And this is a really versatile pattern. You can make it in pretty much whatever color you want. You can do any kind of solid yarns, variegated yarns. You can change the accent color for the ears and the feet. And you can really get creative and use whatever color combos you want. The body of the plushie has a little bit of sculpting, so this is all crocheted in one piece, but you can see the head tapers in for the neck and then tapers back out for the body. So it's got a lot of really nice shaping to it, and it sits flat. So the way that it's designed, the bottom is flat and the top is round. So he does in fact sit up. This is the free video tutorial here on my YouTube channel, but if you're interested in the written pattern, there is a free copy over on my Instagram page. It's pinned at the top if you go over there. Or if you're interested, I do also have a paid PDF version of this pattern if you'd like to download a copy for yourself to keep it and access it offline. I do also include some tutorials on how to do some different coat patterns for different types of Dumbo rats. So if you're interested in that, I would also go and check out the paid PDF pattern either on my website or on Etsy. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started on our little rat. Obviously, you're going to need yarn for this project. That's going to be the most important thing because you kind of can't crochet if you don't have yarn. So you will need 2 different colors of yarn at minimum. Like I said, the paid PDF pattern has a bunch of different tutorials on how to do different styles for coats and things and color changes on that. We are not going to be doing that today. I'm just going to be making a simple solid colored plain rat just for the ease of this tutorial. So you're going to need 2 colors. You're going to need your main body color. I am using this Bernat Blanket Pale Gray. This is a super bulky weight 6. Just your standard Bernat blanket. And then you're also going to need an accent color. And again, you can make this whatever color you want. This is what you're going to use for the ears, the feet, and the tail. You can also switch it up and do multiple accent colors if you want your ears and tail to be one color and your feet to be a different color. Feel free to get creative with your color combinations and what kinds of yarn that you're using. You're also going to need a few crochet essentials. You'll need your scissors. You're going to need a corresponding hook. I use a 6.5mm hook that goes with my Bernat blanket, but feel free to adjust your hook size based on your yarn choice and your tension. You're going to need a stitch marker if you want. I find this helpful to mark the last stitch of my rounds, a tapestry needle to weave in all your ends, and you'll need some safety eyes. I am using, again, 16mm safety eyes based on my yarn and hook size, but feel free to adjust this as you see fit. You can also embroider the eyes if you want to, and again, that would make them baby safe, but I am using just standard black 16mm safety eyes for this tutorial. And with that, I think that's everything, so let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, we're gonna get started with the ear of the plushie. So I'm gonna make a slip knot and put that on my hook because I'm using chain 2. If you wanna use a magic ring, please feel free. I just don't personally like magic ring with the plush yarn. For our ears, this is just a simple 1 round. We are going to put 6 half double crochets into a magic ring, or in my case, the chain 2. Okay, just like that. You should have a sort of curved edge and then more of a flat edge. We are not going to connect this round together. We are just going to go ahead and cut off our yarn. You don't need to leave a long tail because this is a no-sew plushie. It'll get crocheted in, so this tail will be on the inside anyway. And that's your ear. We're gonna do this one more time. I will do that off camera, and then we will come back and get started on the nose and body of the plushie. So we have our 2 ears. We are actually gonna set these aside for now because we won't need them for a little bit. And we are gonna get started on the head and body. We are once again gonna start in our accent color because we're starting with the nose of the rat. And again, I'm gonna use the chain 2 method. Feel free to use magic ring if that is easier for you. But we are going to place 6 single crochets this time into either the magic ring or the first loop of that chain 2. All right, you've got 6 single crochet. We are actually going to back up and change colors after our 6th single crochet because we are going to switch over to the body color. So I'm gonna cut this yarn off. I'm gonna put this one aside. We will need it later to do the feet and the tail, but that'll be a minute. So on that 6th single crochet, for the nose, we're just gonna pull through with our new color. For the next round, we are going to do 6 single crochets around in our body color. And at this point, you're gonna notice it's gonna start to curl. Just take your fingers and flip it right side out. The next round, we are going to increase in every stitch. We're going to do 6 increases, so at the end of this round we'll have a total of 12 stitches. And for demonstration purposes, I went ahead and put my stitch marker in the last stitch of this round, so the very last increase stitch. If it's easier for you to put it in the first one, you know, do that, whatever makes the most sense to you. If you don't want to use a stitch marker at all, more power to you, but for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to put mine here. Now that we've done our increasing around, the next row is going to be a single crochet increase repeat. We're going to do that 6 times around for a total of 18 stitches at the end of the round. All right, and I went ahead and moved my stitch marker. We are now going to do 2 rows of just single crocheting around. So you'll have 2 rows of 18 stitches each, to make a total of 36 if you just want to count. So this is where we are at. You can see that the face is kind of starting to look a little bit like a cone. And for this next round here, we are actually going to go ahead and bring our ears back in because we're going to crochet our ears into our plushie. So we are going to start this round with just 6 single crochets across, and then we're going to come to inserting our ear. The way that we're going to crochet the ears together, so you're going to grab one of your ears. Since we want it to sit like this on the face, we are going to actually kind of flip it upside down is the easiest way I think about it. We're going to take our hook and insert it through the last stitch here. And then we are going to insert through our one on the body. So at this point you have 3 loops on your hook. You have the face, the ear, and your working yarn. We are going to yarn over and pull through the body and the ear. So you have 2 loops on your hook. And then we're going to complete the single crochet like normal, yarn over and pull through 2. And so now you'll see you have a stitch connecting the body and the earpiece. We're going to do that 2 more times. We're going to go through the middle of our magic ring here, through the body, pull through 2, and then one more time. We're going to go through the other side of our magic ring, the 3rd stitch on the body, pull through both, pull through 2, just like that. Now, if you've done this right, you should have one tail on the inside, and we can easily move this middle ring tail. So I just kind of take my hook and stick it through one of the gaps between the spaces we made. Pull that through, and now you can't even tell. And that's what it looks like from the front. Now, be careful not to go back into that same single crochet. We're going to go into our next stitch, and we're going to 3 single crochet across. And then we're going to repeat what we did for the ear in the next 3 stitches over here. So again, And once you have both ears attached, this is what you'll be looking like. And then to finish out the round, again, try not to go into that same single crochet, but we're gonna do 3 more single crochets down. And this is your finished round. I'm actually gonna stop here and insert my safety eyes because I think this is the easiest place to insert them. If you wanna wait to embroider your eyes on, please feel free. But like I said, I'm using plastic safety eyes. And I like to place my safety eyes between rounds 4 and 5. So if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, so about here. And I just kind of try to center it in about, you know, between the ear and the nose. And then I usually do mine about 8 stitches apart, but as a general rule of thumb, just kind of on opposite sides of the head like this is about where I like to place my eyes personally. Again, feel free to change this. Eyes are secured. Let's get back to the body of the plushie. Now we are going to start on the shaping for the neck to go from the head to the body. So for our next round, we are going to single crochet and then do a decrease in the next 2 stitches across. So I like to do an invisible decrease for this, which just means that you use the front loops only of your stitches in order to do a decrease, but feel free again to do whatever kind of decreasing you want. So you should have a total of 12 stitches in this round once you're finished. And if you look from the side here, you can see. So we did our increases and it tapered up. We have our flat portion of just our repeat rows, and then now it's sort of tapering in a little bit because we just did our decreases. So I would recommend stuffing your head at this point. It is possible to stuff it later, but in order to like kind of stuff it as good as you can, I would recommend stopping and stuffing your head here. After you do that, we're gonna go ahead and work on the body of the plushie. So for the next round, we are going to undo pretty much exactly what we just did, and we are going to single crochet, and then in the next stitch, we're gonna do a single crochet increase. So we will get back to our 18 stitches. And I know this seems silly, but this really helps with the shaping of the neck and going into the body of the rat, which you will see in a moment. All right, so I just did my increases. So you can see here, it goes in and then it comes back out. Next, we're gonna do our first set of feet. So this is where you're gonna wanna bring your accent color back in. I'm just gonna use the same pink that I've used so far, but feel free, again, to use a different color. The way that I like to do my bobble stitches is slightly different. So I will, once again, I will link a separate video where I talk a little bit more in depth about why I am doing my bobble stitches the way that I am. We'll just do a very brief version here in this video. I am going to make the bobble stitch my first stitch of this next round here. So I am going to make a slip knot with my accent color and put it on my hook. And I like to ignore this first loop on my hook and pretend this is the only loop on my hook. So yarn over, go through, yarn over, pull through 2. Now I have 2 loops on the hook. 3, 4, and 5, like that. And then I will yarn over and pull through all of those loops, including the one I was ignoring, with the same color. And the reason I do it this way is just because then that way your next stitch that you'll crochet into is the same color as your body, so you won't be able to like see as visually where you did the bobble stitch color change. We are now going to do 3 single crochets in the next 3 stitches. Once you've done your bobble, it will be kind of fat, so you might need to push it out a little bit with your finger on the back, just like this. But you also might have to scoot it over a little bit to see your next stitch here, so make sure that you are getting every single stitch. That's 1, 2, and 3. And I'm just gonna make another bobble stitch exactly like we just did in our next stitch. So you'll have bobble, 3 single crochet, and then another bobble. So again, slip knot on the hook. Ignore your brown loop and just make a bobble stitch as you normally would with the pink till you have 5 pink loops. Then you can drop the pink, yarn over, pull through all 6 with the brown. Tighten it up if you need to, poke it out if you need to, cut off the pink, and there you go. Perfectly seamless. Now we're going to do 13 more single crochets to get back to the end of this row. Again, make sure you slide over that bobble stitch to crochet into the hidden one if necessary. And you'll have a total of 18 single crochets when you're done with this row. All right. Now for our next round, we are going to work on the next set of increases for the back shaping. So we're going to start with 6 single crochets and the next 6 stitches across, and that will just help to keep the tummy and belly area flat so he can actually sit up like that. And this is again kind of where you can see what a difference that bobble stitch technique makes, because if this was a pink stitch, you'd have a little bit of a pink mark, whereas on this one we don't. Next, we are going to get into the increase portion of this row. So we are going to do single crochets in the next 2 stitches and then an increase. And we will increase every 3rd stitch. So 2 single crochet, increase, 2 single crochet, increase, so on and so forth. And you will repeat that a total of 4 times. And at the end of this row, you should have 22 stitches. So as you can see here, since we did another set of increases, you can start to see that flare out a little bit, and that's going to create the back hump of our rat's booty. The next 2 rounds are just single crocheting around 22 stitches in each round. If you want to just count, that's 44 stitches in total, but we're just going to do 2 rows of single crochet in a round, nothing fancy. Okay, we are back after doing our 2 rounds of single crochet, just a round. This is kind of what your little guy should be looking like at this point. Now the next round that we're going to do is the next set of bobble stitches for the back feet. Now ideally these line up exactly and you don't have to make any adjustments, but feel free to add, take away a single crochet or 2 in order to get them to line up. You want the feet to be as in line with each other as they possibly can. If I'm looking at my rat currently, this is the last stitch of the previous round, so the bobble stitch will be the first stitch we do. I don't want my bobble stitch to be here. I want it to be in this stitch, so I'm actually going to go ahead and add a single crochet. And I am just going to move my stitch marker over, if I'm being honest. And then that way, when I do my bobble stitch here, that will line up with this foot. So I am going to do my bobble stitches the same way that I did them up here. I'm going to do the slip knot on my hook trick, and I'm going to do a bobble stitch, then we will do 3 single crochets, and then we will do our second bobble stitch. And again, keep in mind you want these to be as lined up as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I will meet you back and I will then walk you through the rest of the rat. So I just finished off my bobble stitches, and as you can see here, just by adjusting that 1 stitch, we've got perfectly inline bobble stitches. Move this tail. This is kind of what it looks like from the side. The other side. So that way, he will be able to sit up flat once you're done. We're going to complete this round the same way that we completed our other bobble stitch round, which is just by single crocheting the rest of the way. Again, make sure you move that bobble stitch over to get to that single crochet there. For this round, we're going to do 17 more single crochets to continue having a total of 22 stitches at the very end of the row. And once you get to the end of the row, this is what you should be looking like. We're almost done. We are now going to start working on shaping the back half of the rat booty. So for this next round, we are going to single crochet in the next stitch, and then we are going to decrease over the next 2 stitches. You're going to do that for a total of 7 times, and then at the end you will have 1 single crochet left over. That is totally okay. we're just going to single crochet in that stitch. And at the end of this round, that means you'll have a total of 15 single crochets. Okay, so again, just as a reminder, I just finished my 7th decrease, still have 1 stitch. That's totally fine. We're just going to single crochet into it. This is where you should be at. You can really see that decrease row is adding with that shaping there. At this point, I recommend stopping and stuffing your rat because we are about to do our last row on the body, and you can still stuff it after that, but it'll be difficult. Pause here, stuff your rat if you haven't been stuffing it already, then we will come back and finish this guy off. We've got a very chubby little guy now. And we are going to do our last row of the body color, which is just to decrease around. So we're going to do 7 decreases around. You are going to run into the same problem where you have 1 single crochet left over. That's totally fine. You can either do the single crochet and then do your 7 decreases, or you can do your 7 decreases and then do the single crochet. You could probably add it somewhere in the middle if you really wanted to, but usually what I do is I just do the 1 single crochet and then I will go around and do my decreases. You are going to stop before you complete your last stitch, whether that be a single crochet or a decrease. So my last stitch is going to be a decrease here. I'm going to go ahead and almost complete the decrease, but we are going to switch colors to our tail color at this point. So you want to go ahead and cut off your main body color. I am going to leave a tail. I'm going to leave this is probably about 4 or 5 inch tail before I cut my yarn. And we are going to use this tail to sew up the butt. So make sure you leave enough of a tail that you can weave with it. But in order to finish off our last decrease, we're going to go ahead and grab our accent color. Again, I'm using pink. And we're going to yarn over to complete the stitch. Now, I tie my ends together just to like really make sure this sucker isn't going anywhere, but feel free to do as you wish. And we can go ahead and take this stitch marker out. We won't need that anymore. And we are going to go ahead and do the tail. So for the tail, I usually chain about 11. Chain 11 like this. And then we are just going to start in the 2nd chain from the hook. So not this one, but this one. And we're going to slip stitch 10 back down. Just like this. So this is where you should be at. Now to go ahead and finish this off, I usually will take my hook with my loop still on it, and I will actually go back into that last front loop of the decrease that I just did, which is this one right here. And I will make an additional slip stitch just like that, just to help hold everything in place. And then at this point, you can cut off your yarn, pull it through, and at this point, you're now done. The only thing that you have left to do is to add a little bit more stuffing to the butt of your rat if you wish, and then close it up. I went ahead and added just a little bit more stuffing and kind of tucked those tails into the stuffing of where the hole is going to be. At this point, we are going to thread our tail onto our tapestry needle here, and I like to use the drawstring close method where you take your needle and go through every front loop of the stitches. The way that I do it is I will start to the right of the tail in that first stitch there, and then I will take my yarn and loop it behind the tail like this, and then I will go into that same front loop where we decreased and also slip stitch our pink back in, and go there. And again, make sure this tail stays behind the tail, and then just go through the rest of your stitches as normal. And once you've done that, all you gotta do is just gently pull it closed, and there you go. Tie this off, weave in your end, and you'll be done. And with that, you have successfully completed your very own Dumbo Rat crocheted plushie. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I love these little guys. They work up so fast, and I just think they are so cute. They're very durable, and I think they're great gifts for everybody. So if you liked this video and you want to see more tutorials from me, please let me know down in the comments below. Like I said, you can also find the free written version of this pattern on my Instagram, or if you'd like to pay for the PDF version that also has a little bit more instructions on color changing for different coat patterns, you can find that on my Etsy and on my website. If you do make this little guy, please feel free to tag me over on Instagram at Lavender Bunn Crochet. I would love to see all of the cute little rats that you guys make. You guys are more than welcome to sell these. If you make them, just make sure that you give me credit wherever you can at Lavender Bunn Crochet. And other than that, I look forward to seeing everybody's rats, and hopefully soon we will have an army of rats to take over the world. Again, thank y'all so much for watching. Until next time, stay safe, and I will see you in the next video very, very soon. Bye!